proceed. Seconder. Councillor Hung, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The next speaker is Mr. John Dacombe. That will be followed by Ms. Wanda Thompson.
Let me just get some water. I have a cold. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I spoke here a few weeks ago against city funding for an outdoor skating rink. At that time, Councillor Bestwick spoke proudly of the 0% tax increase for 2016. Here we are a few weeks later, and we have 2017 tax increases that appear to be above the rate of inflation pretty much across the board. What Councillor Bestwick failed to mention here in November is that even in 2016, we saw fee increases well above the rate of inflation. And remember, if every homeowner has to pay for something, whether it's water, sewer, whatever, it's a tax if it's going to the government. So on top of these existing taxes, tax increases, we could have public funding of a WHL arena that will cost, based on the sums that we're seeing now, which I question, 250% more than was spent, that will be spent in 2016 on all the engineering and public works programs put together in the city of Nanaimo. So basically, you're proposing spending 2.5 times more to build something we don't need than all the core infrastructure spending in 2016 that keeps the city running. And do we want the taxpayers of Nanaimo, who have an average income a little over $48,000 a year, to pay for this WHL arena when WHL franchise owners are amongst Canada's wealthiest 1%? Let's see some examples of that. Vancouver Giants, part owner Michael Bublé, well-known crooner. Everybody loves Michael Bublé. Net worth over $150 million. Edmonton Oil Kings owner Daryl Katz. He's worth $4.14 billion US, billion with a B. Of course, you say those are large market teams. It's the small market teams like Nanaimo that would have a real problem, the franchise in a town like Nanaimo. But then you have Victoria Royals owner Graham Lee. His company, GSL Holdings, it's one of BC's largest private employers. Annual revenues of over $50 million. Or there's Kamloops Blazers, owned by a bunch of rich guys, ex-hockey players, and Tom Gaglardi, whose family's worth over $2.2 billion. So the many municipalities, and there are many, as was just explained, that have used public funds to pay for professional sports venues have in essence been taken by very rich, very smart businessmen who claim they cannot afford to build these venues for themselves, and it should be the hard-pressed individual taxpayer making $48K that should pay for it. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the word of economists paid by companies that are trying to sell you a product. I could not find a single independent, peer-reviewed economic analysis of the public funding of professional sports venues. Not one independent analysis. Remember, we had an economist speak earlier. That's not an independent peer-review analysis. He is doing an analysis because he works for a company that's trying to sell you a product. An independent peer-reviewed analysis is the only kind you can trust. You can't trust me, you can't trust them. Not one of these concluded that the public funding of professional sports venues was of net economic benefit to the municipality in which they were built. The people who will claim public funding of these venues is of net benefit are the developers, the architects, the sports franchise owners, everyone who will gain financially at the expense of the taxpayers, and sports enthusiasts who believe these claims. So I encourage each of you to do independent research to see what a scam this really is. So rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, that if you vote for the public funding of this WHL arena, and let's be clear, this is a WHL arena. It's not a multiplex, it's not an event center, it's not a sports and event center. It is a WHL, professional sports venue. If you use public funds to pay for that, three things will happen, I guarantee you. Nanaimo will incur massive debt. Sooner or later, Nanaimo will incur massive property tax increases. And politically, I think you will lose more votes than you gain in the 2018 elections. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. The next speaker is Ms. Wanda Thompson. There's no questions for you, sir. Oh, Councillor Hong.
I do have a question.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that we don't need in Nanaimo. We don't need a water treatment plant. Our water is great, but we had to do it. We don't need a waste treatment plant, but we have to do it. And we did not need the damn dams redone, but we did it. A lot of things we don't need, but we had to do. Just to point that out, clarify.